Welcome to Gaming on a Budget. Today we bring you Pandemic Cthulhu from Z-Man Games. No, that is not a joke. That is really the thing. In Pandemic Cthulhu...
Reign of Cthulhu.
Oh, you're right. I don't know how I never noticed that before. Anyway, we will be playing Pandemic, essentially, but with a lot of different little tweaks and twists going on. Essentially, instead of fighting diseases, we are fighting cultists and shoggoths for the most part. But the principle is pretty much the same. We want to keep as many off the board as possible. One of the many ways we can lose is to run out of cultists or shoggoths to put on the board when we need to. We will be using the various cards to, instead of cure diseases, seal gates. And for the most part, other than that, the mechanics are going to be pretty similar. We move, we cure, in other words, murder cultists. We, collect cards. We reveal bad cards that spawn stuff. Now, one of the key differences is that instead of having epidemics and outbreaks, we have a series of old ones that will awaken as the game goes on, causing various negative effects to the game. We will also have access to powerful relics that can do all sorts of crazy things throughout the game. Can you see that there?
Now that I've zoomed in on it, yes.
Okay, that's a good example, but they do all kinds of things. For example, there's a relic called the Elder Sign that lets you essentially eradicate, in this case, a particular area's cult problem. But it's going to work much the same as eradicating a disease in Pandemic. Now, most of this is going to be easiest to just, show you in the gameplay. We've got our characters with their little powers, much like Pandemic. I'm just going to stop saying much like Pandemic. I'm done saying that.
We have our investigators.
We have our investigators, who do their little investigatory things, various little powers depending on who you are. But what's really interesting is we each have a sanity level. You could kind of think of that like our hit points. And when we exhaust our sanity, we flip over to a crazy side that has potentially different powers and possibly some nasty little consequences.
And one less action.
And in order to get back to sane, we have to seal a gate, at which point we'll get to go to either the church or the hospital and regain our sanity.
You can also do it through a relic.
Yep.
And that number is actually just our actions, not our sanity.
Yeah,
Everybody has a blanket for.
Sorry, completely derailed me. Anyway, it was important information. So, these are going to be our little gate seals here that we'll be trying to place on the gates, which are the specially marked areas in each section with the little border and everything.
They have a cool design in the middle.
Cultists and shoggoths under control. So that's probably about all the preamble you require. So let's get on over to the amble.